Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's so wonderful to have you with me again, whether you are a subscriber or just a listener. And if you are a listener, I do hope you will consider subscribing. Just to mention that it is my hope that I will be able to upload now consistently. I'm aiming for at least once a week. I was away last week, so there was nothing uploaded, but yes, that is the aim as much as I'm able to. Certainly, I wish to be uploading consistently. So thank you to everyone who is supporting me and for the lovely messages that I've received. I am also making note of the requests for different types of videos. So thank you for those. And with things like guided meditations and so on, I typically, once I have designed the meditation, I like to put it to the test or give it to someone I know to test for me. And then based on that feedback, I will then upload. Because they take a little bit longer, that will be coming in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, in this upload, I want to talk about the subtle difference between having hope and having faith. And it does feel to me to be part of this theme on my channel at the moment, which deals with the relationship between ourselves as human beings and ourselves as being much more than human beings, as being the divine individualized conceptions of God. So people of real power. And the wonderful thing about metaphysics is that it gives us the opportunity to investigate, to test, and to discover the power that we are talking about. And, so few things in life give us that opportunity. But with metaphysics, it's such an internal, intrinsic, personal thing. And it's very, very exciting actually to make these discoveries about things like the relationship between our emotions and the experiences of our lives. For some of us, the idea, the concept is utterly ridiculous, but herein lies the beauty of metaphysics. All you're required to do is to put these ideas to the test. And in the testing, you will yourself build up your own body of evidence. And the more we do, the more that evidence builds until we get to the point where it's incontrovertible for us. There is no doubt in our own minds that there really is this link between what we emote consistently and what we experience. We come to understand how the world truly operates, how we operate within it, what our purpose in life is, and so on. And not just in terms of your ambitions, your desires, your goals, your dreams, etc., but what it really means to be alive in this world and how you can do that optimally to the very best of your ability and even better than that. But anyway, enough with the preamble. When I talk about having faith, and this will be a brief explanation, it's not very long, it's fairly straightforward to understand. But when I talk about that, it's important to understand the difference, because I think for many of us who engage in metaphysical prayer and have things that we are trying to achieve and things we want to just see played out so that we can start this process of really living in this way, almost exclusively or exclusively, it's important to understand that having hope is not going to be enough, even if you're mixing that hope with various techniques of prayer and so on, meditation and whatever. I talk about the difference between the way we process things as human beings and the way we process things as our greater selves. And hope is a very human enterprise. One thing I've said on my channel before is that metaphysical prayer is something that is performed by our dimensionally greater selves, by the invisible part of us. And everything else is done by our humanity. And we use these two things in concert, and it's important that we strike a good balance between these things. But it's important also to understand that if we are thinking about things and excited and getting engaged in wishful thinking, we're not going to see the outcomes we're looking for, and it's easy to get discouraged when that happens. So hope arises. It's a very distinct feeling. It gives us that impetus to continue and to persevere and so on. And it's very appropriate in an everyday third dimensional human context. But when we are applying it metaphysically, it's the feeling that arises when we've considered our circumstances and we would love to see that whatever it is, our desire objectified or realized. And it's very different from having faith, because what hope does is actually very subtly remind you that the thing you want hasn't materialized yet. You're waiting for it. You're excited. You're not going to give up. It spurs you on. But if you're just dealing with hope alone, you're not going to get to that final point, because our divinity is communicating to infinite intelligence, to consciousness itself, that this is the state that we are in. So we're communicating from the human side, look, this is what I believe, this is what I consent to, I'm hoping, I'm hoping, I'm hoping, I'm wishing, I'm wishing, I'm wishing. And so that condition is sustained. You will be perpetually hoping and wishing. What we want to engage instead is faith. And one of the ways that we can exercise our faith is using the method I described in my previous upload. So please do listen to that if you haven't already. Faith is, I like to say, action. It's the ability to starve of attention any thought, idea, or even physical evidence. Just starve it of attention that's telling you that the thing you want hasn't happened yet, and you act as though it has. And acting as though it has really is, in many cases, as simple as starving of attention anything that tells you that something hasn't happened. So while you are going through your normal, natural life and using the technique that I described, which is a fusing of the subjective senses and the physical senses, and do listen to that upload for more explanation on what I'm talking about here. You don't have to perform any great feat to show that you have faith, but your faith can be you living your everyday life in the knowledge that what you desire is already a reality. And then what eventually happens as you are starving your doubts of attention is that you forget that you ever had them, and you begin to bear the fruit of what it is that you are looking for. You begin to experience things that are consistent with the reality of your desire in its objectified state. I do hope that that is clear, but do let me know in the comments if you require further clarification of what I'm saying. So whereas hope is a very clear, distinct feeling of, yes, I'm going to keep going because I know I can get that thing one day, faith is living, acting as though it were real. And how do you act? How do you engage with something you can't physically see or touch or smell or taste? Well, metaphysically, you can begin to do that by ignoring anything that tells you it isn't real. Sometimes when you think, okay, let's say something very, very basic, oh, I want a new car. If you don't physically see the car, but you think, well, how do I demonstrate my faith? Well, let's say you decided to research, I don't know, insurance carriers or something like that. Something may come up in your mind that tells you that this is ridiculous. You don't even have a car. Starving that thought of attention by bringing your focus back to what it is you're doing is exercising your faith. It's demonstrating your faith. I think sometimes for us, we can make these things very, very complicated. They are, in fact, very simple, although not necessarily easy in the beginning. But faith is having the discipline to just focus on the thing that you want while ignoring the thoughts, the ideas, the sensations that are telling you that what you are focusing on is not real. Remember, I've said in other uploads Things like saying stop, mentally shouting the word stop or no, or breaking state by thinking about something completely unrelated, just to break the connection of that doubting sensation and the hold it might have on you. So I do hope that helps. It's very important to be aware of when you are being spurred on by something you are hoping for, rather than focusing on your faith. As I say, it is very simple, but it's incredibly effective. And more than being effective, it is crucial to you seeing the outcomes that you are looking for. Very often it's these very subtle and nuanced experiences that we have that undermine us, that snatch victory or snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, or whatever it is. You know what I'm trying to say. It's these ideas that we overlook, and then we find ourselves waiting for things much longer than we need wait. And I'm always speaking from experience. It's such a wonderful sensation when you begin to feel your doubts slip away, crumble away, fall away, die off, whatever it is you want, however it is you want to describe it. It's such a wonderful sensation when it happens. And then you start to see things change without you having to take any extra outward step. And that's another thing, sometimes we think, oh, what should I do? You will be living your normal, natural life. And so any action that you are required to take will be a part of your normal, natural life. You will not have to think about the steps that you have to take, just as you don't have to think about them now. Just go about your daily business, staying as happy as you can, even in the midst of overwhelm, when things look terrible. You are the light of the world. We can empathize with people who are suffering and so on, but you don't have to take on the energy of suffering. Rather, you being in a state of emotional freedom, being happy, being loving, and so on, will lift someone else up. And it's important to understand that we cannot help anyone if we are down with them. We can only help them when we are in an elevated position. But that's another subject for another day. So just to reiterate, there is an important or crucial difference between the experience of having hope and having faith. Having faith is putting the practices of metaphysics, into action. It is putting to death your doubts. So simply, literally take your attention away from your doubts by bringing your focus back onto what you are thinking about, as in the objective reality or something that is consistent with that. And or you can break state, you can think of other things, etc. But it's important to understand that just having hope and applying metaphysical techniques will not be sufficient to objectify or realize your desire. You have to put your doubts to sleep, and that is the process of faith, taking your attention away from it as best you can. Now, I hope you have found this upload useful, and I would encourage you to begin that process. We know how to take our attention of something. When we're thinking of one thing with focus, it's not possible for us to think about something else at the same time. We have to divert our attention back and forth. And that's what happens. You just focus your attention on something else to the detriment of your doubts in order to starve your doubts. And you will find that your desires become an objective reality much sooner and in a much more fulfilling, affirming, satisfying and rewarding way. Have a wonderful day ahead, whatever time of day you listen to this. And until we are together again, stay phenomenally you.